really quick recovery.
Insofar as law
Everyone's asking me
enforcement,
why am I at work.
okay,
I said, well,
that
this week is very busy for me,
the
but I'm trying to,
police, the sheriff,
I'm balancing all that
state
carefully.
trooper,
But so far, the digestive system, it took a
and
kind of,
those
first it
three
went,
in particular,
what are we doing? Stop everything.
that they,
And
an
now,
officer will move
kinda
to a
getting used to
different county
get back to
or
normal without it working.
with reference to a trooper
But so
to
far,
a
yeah, we're
different
good. I would recommend it to anybody that has
district
these
for
underlying
pay
issues. I
right?
know all this
So,
stuff.
do you see that, that's what I've heard in the state of Florida has been, yes, they will. What's your opinion?
Well, I didn't see that much in the citrus and all. We had money into it. Just number one, cost of living. Well, it's hard to compare some of something. If you said Miami, you know, they're making 85,000 start there. You're making 50-some thousand start here. Well, yeah, you're right. Texas
Oh, yeah,
prices.
yeah, they opened up.
So,
Right.
Stones
just
and
don't-
flamed.
I don't
You've been
know
doing this
that,
for quite some
that
time.
there's that much jump. You actually, if you got a good work environment, you like where you're at, sometimes money's not a driver. Because you know, you've been paid that.
Oh, yeah,
Some
yeah.
people's job satisfaction, being appreciated, all that stuff goes in.
That way, yeah, that tilts.
It does. Some people would say, I'm not gonna jump for another $5,000 a month. I may not like one more. Teachers, you hear that a lot about the teaching profession. Same thing. It's like, okay, they make more in New York, but it costs you
Does
twice.
say the title.
Yeah, those teachers.
I would put up more.
My wife, Lawrence, just retired last July, and she was in, Mississippi, Citrus and Marion County for 30 years. And she's got friends that she plays tennis with, pickleball with. They come down from the northeast. They live in terror business. It's just like, your teacher pay for it, really good.
Put something out, fall.
And it's like, you're right, you can't compare.
George, did you get to bang the gavel last time?
You know, I wanted to, but I felt that was a bit above my station.
You said it was sacred.
You know, the fact of the matter is, if you had brought donuts, you would have been eligible for that.
I thought about that, but, you know, at the time I was, not in the best physical shape, you might say.
You did a good job, George. I'll attest to it.
Welcome, everybody. It being 2 o'clock, actually 2:01. My apologies for being tardy. I hereby call the September meeting of the Citrus County Aviation Advisory Board into session, into order. If I could impose upon everybody, please, to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You know, I started first grade in 1963. So that would be, I think, the first time I recall saying that. It's been a while. 63, so almost 60 years. You think what? And there's always the same cadence to it, isn't there? It's always the pauses in the exact same place. Sort of never changes.
Same thing like giving out your phone number.
My parents have the same phone number that they got in 1963, and they almost lost it, but we managed to get it back for them. Long story. Would you mind, Miss Bell?
Sure, all right. We have George McDonald.
Here.
Carl Flanagan,
Here.
Gene Davis,
Here.
Heiko,
Here.
Charles Carr,
Here.
and Mark.
I'm here.
Thank you very much. Has everybody had the opportunity to review last month's minutes? Any questions, any concerns about them? If not, may I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes?
I move.
So moved.
Moved by Gene,
Second.
second by Carl. Charlie, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Thank you very much. Like to throw the meeting open to the public. Does anybody have anything they would like to say? Come now, come forward, speak your piece. State your name for the record, sir.
James Chen from Cristero Group, Crystal River Airport. I'm happy, extremely happy to report that the FBO, the front yard, thanks for the board and the next degree of Todd, the airport manager's effort, and the appearance of the front of the building is much improved. We have a new fence was installed, and covered walkway is being under construction right now. We are very, very much appreciated your effort, Todd. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? New business? I see that we have none. Does anybody have any new business they'd like to introduce since the agenda went out?
It's not, well, no, it wouldn't be new business. I was just gonna ask for a follow-up on, I believe it was last month that, the bylaws were gonna go before the BOCC. Did not know if it was gonna, if they've already gone or they will be going.
Yeah, they were approved last,
Tuesday.
yeah, it was September, August.
And they have the copy that we have with my signature on it. Now it goes to them for Holly's signature. And I believe Denise's signature, is that right? Is there somebody else
Yeah.
besides Holly?
And the clerk of court.
Okay, clear. Oh, Angela's signature.
It's on their
Okay.
way.
Okay.
It's on its way.
Thanks.
All right, good enough, good enough. Old business. AAB seat vacancy. So as everybody knows from last month, unfortunately, Luis, we're not exactly sure what his situation is, but we understand that he's healthy. It's just something that he's not able to commit to at this time. So the seat has been declared vacant, and at an upcoming meeting, the BOCC will almost certainly put out an application, an announcement of the opening. Just so everybody knows, I'm currently a member at large. I live in the district that Luis represented, so I'm going to be applying for that seat, the seat to represent District 3, at which point the vacant seat will be the at-large position. Also, Mark's position in District 2 is coming up for renewal. So what we may simply have the BOCC do is open the whole thing up a couple of months early. And if you can reapply, I'll apply for District 3, and that will leave the at-large position open for literally anybody in the county, regardless of where they live, let the commissioners select the most qualified candidate. That make sense to everybody?
It does.
Any objection to that?
Not at all.
Todd, anything to add to that?
No, you said that. Wonderful.
Okay,
The vacancy will be announced 24th of September.
great, fantastic. Okay, onward.
Inverness is pedestrian gates and main vehicle gates. I'm happy to report that the pedestrian gates have all been replaced. So if you haven't taken a look, they're pretty good, nice and sturdy. The main vehicle gate a component was replaced, and now that gate, that's the first gate that goes to the FBO at Inverness, now should be working. Not that it wasn't working, you just got to put it in manual mode, let's call it that. These gates are getting some age to them, so that is on my, it's on one of my focuses, so. That is it.
Okay, thank you. Power lines on Penn.
The Duke agreement was signed on Tuesday, so now the next step is for me to buy some power line marker balls and put them up on those power lines right on Penn Street.
Wonderful. Love it when a plan comes together. Runway 9 GPS approach at Crystal River.
Oh, yeah, Charlie. All right, so I got a little more information from FAA, and basically our LNAV and circling minimums are available. It's the LP minimums that will be available after the Aegis survey is complete. So that's the reason why, was it last meeting that you said that GPS approaches were working?
Yeah, well, what I said was that the approach is working, and it can be authorized now,
Yes,
which was not the case before.
correct.
And so now you can use the lateral nav minimums, but not the LP minimums,
Yes.
which is great because it's only 40 feet difference.
Yeah, I think someone from FAA just saw a button and pushed it real quick, and now it works, so.
And they put this NOTAM out in March
Yep.
of '24 without telling anybody that. They rescinded the NOTAM that said it was NA altogether, and instead replaced it with a NOTAM that said LP minimum's not authorized, only LNAV and circling. So we've had this thing since March. Nobody told me.
Yeah.
Did you know?
I didn't know it until air traffic control let me use it.
Well, there you go. There you go. So that is up, and as you say, it's, what, 40 feet difference, something like that? So,
380 versus 420.
right. So, as I understand it, we still need the Aegis survey to get the full LP minimums?
Correct, sir.
And did you say that the BOCC approved that as well at their meeting this week?
I was
saw
gonna
that
talk
it was
about
on
it
their
later,
agenda.
but yeah, that was a grant that's just been approved.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, hangars?
Hangars, I do have the most recent update, so I apologize for the error here. Currently have been working on a T-hanger agreement for Inverness and Crystal River for their T-hangers. Right now, there's 0 vacancies for any box hangar at Crystal River. We have 5 people on the waiting list. There's 1 T-hanger vacancy at Crystal River, but there's 31 on the waiting list. There's 3 T-hanger vacancies at Inverness, and there's 32 on the waiting list. Sorry, 32 people on the waiting list, 3 T-hangers that are available. And once we crank out this T-hanger agreement, that's when we'll start accepting people to move into those vacancies.
If I may ask, this is an update of the current standard agreement that we were speaking of?
No, this is new language. This will not be like, no, it's not the same agreement which if you signed even a month ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is a new T-hanger agreement.
Would it be, I know it's probably still in draft form, it hasn't been approved, but would it be possible to get it circulated to the members?
Sure. Once I get a draft, absolutely.
Okay, thank you much.
This is, we're talking about the new, sorry, I was. The new lease agreement. So there is a new one? Is this the one that was recommended? Is this part
Yeah,
of
this was
the
part of the
recommendation of
financial, yeah.
standardizing everything? Okay, good.
Yes, I can,
Good.
yeah.
And you'll send us a copy of that once it becomes available, just a blank
Yes.
copy of the lease?
Absolutely.
Thank you. BOCC updates?
None?
Other than all the stuff that they approved on Tuesday?
Oh, well, yeah, I have that here for my other project status updates, but yeah. Duke service agreement was approved. We had 3 grants that were approved. That's your master plan for Inverness, Aegis survey for Crystal River, and AWAS equipment replacement at Inverness.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. You being the aviation project manager, I guess you would speak to the next thing, the major project.
Yes. All right, runway 927 extension, Aegis survey grant was approved. The pre-A is complete. I had a nice conversation with FAA yesterday, so we're going to start moving forward. That means the EA clock starts now. They have 1 year to complete the EA. And once that's complete, if there's no objections, then we can move forward with construction for the extension.
And if they don't complete it within a year, what happens then?
It's a very good question. It's not good. But that, it's their clock. They're held by that standard.
Okay.
Yep.
That means we're out of money.
Yep.
Todd,
Yes, sir.
question on that.
Yeah.
You said that, they've got 12 months to be able to complete it.
Mhm.
My question for you is, are there any type of penalties if they don't complete it in 12 months?
I'll have to look into that.
Just consideration, I mean, for timing of everything else is, we're trying to keep things on a timeline moving forward
Mhm.
as far as setting our expectations.
Well, that's why the FAA kind of split this up into a pre-EA. Doesn't exactly help out everyone else, but it definitely helps them out because they can stop the clock. So that's the reason why I went through this pre-A is to try to look at anything that could cause any concern. And during that process, there was none.
Okay. And then just for clarification, the EA, we're speaking of the environmental assessment,
Yes, sir.
and that is done by the county's consultant.
Correct.
Okay. All right, that's all.
So it's really the county consultant that has a year to get this done?
No, it's the FAA. It's their standard. They're held by it.
But the FAA is not the ones doing it?
Correct.
Okay, so it's the contractor that has a year to complete this?
Yeah, they collect data. I can find out more information, especially about any penalties that if they go beyond a year. But
And in consideration for that, I'm just looking at it from a budgetary standpoint. We've got funds to work with within a calendar year, X, and how is that gonna impact it if we have to go into another year?
Well, with our consultants, we're also gonna be basing off of a lump sum. There'll be a time frame, I'm sure, involved, but, the idea is to complete this project. Here's the amount of money to complete this project. I don't think, it's gonna take a year. I have that on record now.
Who's the contractor?
With a contractor is ICE,
Oh,
or actually consultants, yeah. Wave to the crowd.
you guys aren't going to take a year for this, are you?
Here we go.
Doug Hambrecht, Infrastructure Consulting and Engineering. No.
Thank you.
The FAA has, I think it was established by the Trump administration to speed up environmental review. So he put this on the FAA to fast track programs and projects. So, I'll get you a detailed schedule you could share with the board. But we have our portion to do, and they have a certain amount of time to review it. But the whole process should take a year.
Great. Thank you. Fuel tanks?
Fuel tanks, we didn't receive any bids. Zero bids. So we're kind of putting our thinking caps back on, and we're gonna readdress this and hopefully get some, we'll get some steps moving forward. No bids?
When you say no bids, as in? We're looking to hire somebody to replace the fuel tanks and nobody wants to do it?
Yeah, that's one way of it, yeah. We had 3 people that were on a pre-application meeting, and, but when it came to bidding, no one bid.
James, have you made somebody mad? Okay, so what is the next step then? Do we cast a wider net?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I'll be working with purchasing and on next steps forward, so we can, this thing has been delayed long enough, so.
and these are the above-ground tanks, they're at the fuel farm at the airport.
Correct.
How old are they and what?
Over 30, and they need it bad.
They need it bad, okay. So obviously, we need to very aggressively seek somebody out to do this work.
Yeah, usually when a contractor like that doesn't bid, it's because either A, they can't get the material, B, they didn't like the terms and conditions in the bid offer, or some other factor along those lines. By any chance, you didn't have any feedback from them as far as?
Nope.
Yeah, or they're,
Unless you call each individual contractor and ask why, but nothing.
At which point, they'll simply say, well, you haven't offered me enough money. Give me more and I'll do it. I mean, quite frankly,
Yeah.
that's the
That
issue.
could be.
Yeah.
So Tom, would that be out of protocol for you to be able, or you or someone in the office to be able to call and say, interesting that you you came to the pre-app, but then we never saw anything from you. What was the reasoning?
I think you have to, if you're going down that path, you'd have to be pretty tactful and careful how you word things,
Right, right.
because it is still open.
Sure, okay.
But I believe that, I'd have to check again, but if I was to make a phone call and just ask maybe other airport managers on their projects for fuel tanks in the past, who have they used? What's that company's name? I can generate a list of companies and maybe pass it off, and it's about as far as I can go. That makes sense?
That'd be a great idea.
Sure. And then potentially when the county puts out a bid, make sure to copy those folks, find a way to make them aware.
Yes,
We're not trying to say we want you rather than you.
Correct.
But we want to make sure that everybody that can do this work and that has done this work in the past and is currently doing this work is aware that we would like some of this work done ourselves.
correct.
Okay. Inverness Business Park?
Phase 1 is complete. Yay. Phase 2, we're discussing with our consultants on a design repackage, and then after that meeting, which is tomorrow, we'll see what the next steps are.
Okay. Can we get somebody, either next month or the month after, to give us a, overview of what they plan on doing and what's, the timelines or milestones to get, I mean, it took them 20 years to go from the, I don't want to go 20 years before we end up having something there. The other issue is, my understanding was there was supposed to be either a roadway or taxiway between the industrial park and the airport. And when I was there the other day, I didn't see it. Maybe it's there, it was
Oh,
behind.
no, there's about 200 cubic yards worth of fill that's in the
Yeah,
way.
exactly, that's what all I can see. And
yeah.
they have trees and stuff that they've put along there, along the fence.
Oh, yeah, the buffer looks
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, but I mean, but that's the only thing I've seen that's changed, and, I was just wondering what their milestone, there was when they first did this project, they had a nice little, picture of, all the blue buildings and everything else. But the question is, what are they doing, and where are they, what's their timeline? Is there anybody that's coming in, anybody that they've got? Now, I've been in enough contract negotiations to know that I don't need to know the names, just whether or not they have people that are coming in and they're gonna build the buildings themselves, or are we gonna have to get money to build some of the buildings?
Well, I know our new economic developer, Steve Bayham, has asked a lot of questions because he wants to get this out there and get some interested parties to come in. I'll get in touch with him and see, at least on that aspect, where we're at with that. And I can get a schedule for you for some timelines and benchmarks. I'll look into that, sure.
Yeah, thanks.
I think really what we're looking for is somebody that's in charge of that, in charge of the overall project, both the development, design, development, construction, and then also reaching out for potential tenants.
Okay,
If they can find the time, find a few minutes.
Sure.
A few hours next month to come in and sort of give us an overview of all those details.
okay.
That'd be great. Thank you. That make sense, Mark?
Yep, very much.
Okay.
Exactly what I'm looking for.
And you say that this taxiway, there is a taxiway plan, it's just not there yet.
Correct. That was part of phase 2. That's phase 2 is the biggest part is that taxiway going into the business park. Then we also have to clear and grub the other side of the business park, rehabilitate pretty much half of Airport Road, some other small landside development, and a screening wall, and including the buffer as well. Those are the big tickets.
Yeah, just an overview.
Sure.
Gives me an idea of where you're going and what some of the milestones and timelines are.
No problem.
All right, thank you.
Corporate hangar?
Right, corporate hangar, the design, pre-design kickoff was July 11th. I think we're at 30%, if I'm not mistaken. But more to follow.
30% of
30% design complete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Inverness master plan?
Grant was approved, so we're on to the next step.
Do you have the ability to forward us a copy of the master plan? I know we've generally been keeping them in our files, at least I have.
The current one, yes.
The new one?
We're going to be working on that. It's going to take about a year, maybe 18 months.
The grant was approved to create a new master plan. Got it.
Yep.
In that case, disregarded. Crystal River Vault and Generator.
Work authorization was approved on August 6th, and PO is getting drafted quickly. And then once that happens, we're going to start rehabilitating that vault. If you don't know where that vault's at Crystal River, which powers all of our taxi lights and PAPIs and things and reels and things like that, there's a large sinkhole about 50 feet in diameter. That's just, it's very obvious, at least it is for me. So we're going to rehabilitate that and get that up to standards.
So this is not the same generator that's by the building, obviously.
FBO, no. The vault has its own generator and electrical vault for the airfield separate. It's kind of tucked back, maybe 2/3 of the way down the runway if you're headed east. It's closer to 27.
North or south side?
East? North side of the runway, but east.
That's what I'm saying, north side of the
yeah,
runway.
yeah.
Okay.
North side of the runway, yeah. Take a look next time.
Is that why the runway and identifier lights are not working?
Those reels are very old, and we just had our inspection today at Crystal River, and all of them don't work. I did a night inspection a couple weeks ago on a Friday, and I tried to find the common problem with those reels, and I went to the electrical vault, and I just couldn't find a smoking gun, if you will. So, but I did find out that those reels are so old that they don't even make them anymore. They don't make parts, so it's very costly. I talked with a gentleman already with Airfield Western to help me to take a look at these reels and what's the best course of action. More than likely, it's going to be replaced.
Okay, well, we need to issue a note saying the
Yeah.
reels are in, because they're shown on the chart.
Yep. We'll do that ASAP.
There's supposed to be reels there?
You didn't know that? The boxes are there.
Yeah.
And I think that's it for major projects.
Okay. AWAS, you said something about that earlier.
Yeah, grant was approved to replace the AWAS equipment at Inverness. Over 15 years old, I believe.
Mhm.
Speaking of replacing old equipment for which you can't get parts.
Yeah.
Do we have a timeline for that?
Not yet. Just since it just got approved, I'll be talking with our consultants and contractor on getting a schedule.
Okay.
Can't imagine it's going to take long though, but we'll find out.
Yeah, all right. Crystal River awning?
As James mentioned, I would say we're about 50% complete. The concrete's been poured, some of the stanchions are already up. Just need to get the roof on top and button it up.
Wonderful. James, you happy with it?
Very much so.
Good. Sorry there's no restroom at the end of it. Yet.
You'll be a lot happier when there's an actual roof.
No doubt. Hangar locks and keys.
Thank you, everyone, for being patient about this, especially those who are tenants at the airport. That is going to start next week, September 17th. I don't know which airport we're starting with yet. I've been bugging this contractor to get an answer on which one. I'm probably going to find out the day before. When I do, and as I've been transparent throughout this process the whole time, I will send out an email and let everyone know I'll be at this airport here for any reason. So what I'm going to try to do is that whenever someone gets a lock and key replaced, when that gentleman's done, gives me the new lock and key. If someone is not available, they're out of town, I've either asked the FBOs if they can hold on to the keys while that person comes in and gets them, or find some way to work with the tenant to where we can get you your keys. That's simple. However it needs to work out, I'm willing to do.
Okay. So basically what we're doing is all the hangars throughout
Yep.
both airports, we're simply replacing all the locks or rekeying them.
T-hangers and box. So the 2 box at Crystal River and the 2 hangars at Crystal River and the 1 T-hangars at Inverness.
Just out of curiosity, why are we doing that? I know it's a good security thing to do every now and then, but was there a particular reason to do it at this time?
Yes, there was. We had a bad tenant.
Ah, that one.
That was a part of the piece of the pie. Now that person's no
Okay,
longer here.
Say no more.
That's why gate codes changed and all that stuff, so. Yeah, trying to beef up security. Make things better, right?
Yeah. More security is better than less security, generally speaking.
Generally speaking.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have any presentations today? Anybody want to present something? Doug, you folks came all the way here. Did you want to introduce Melanie? Do you want to present Melanie to the group?
This is Melanie Ayers. She is our new business development manager for ICE.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here today and see what's going on in your county, and I'm very excited about being a part of you, and I'll be seeing you monthly.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Do you have any questions for me on the schedule or projects?
Quite a question for the group, for you folks and Todd. When a few months ago, when at the aviation workshop, where Daniel was presenting really the good doctor's findings, and sort of ran out of time halfway through. Was that presentation ever completed, as far as you know?
Oh, the financial study?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was met with good feedback from the BOCC.
When was it completed? The presentation, because I know we got through about half of it. I think that was their June meeting,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
the early June meeting, and then
We didn't get through all the slides.
Right.
Is what you're saying.
right.
Oh, we never did go back through the slides again?
didn't, okay.
No, so I think it was just, I'll verify, but they received hard copies of it, and they blessed it at some point, but I'll find out when
Yeah.
that was.
So I met privately with 2 of the commissioners that had questions, and I don't know that they ever took any action beyond just on those items that were fairly obvious to take actions on at the time.
Yeah, there was 4 items. One of them was getting an appraisal for our airports, looking at the leases, whether that's.
But then there were a number of other recommendations that ICE made that the commissioners took no action on at the time because they hadn't had enough time for Daniel to fully brief them. Did they ever
There
go
was
back and
20 action
revisit
items.
those?
I'm pretty sure 16 of them were yes, and the other ones were no, or more information is required.
That's what I'm saying. The more information that's required. In other words, we need to hear the rest of the briefing so we have time to talk about it, and that's what I'm asking. Did they ever get the rest of the briefing? Did they ever get the time to consider it? Have they done anything about those action items?
Once we get our appraisal, get these leases squared up, we also got an aviation attorney. Once those things, my understanding is that once those things have been met, then we go to the board again and brief them on that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I was told that they had accepted the report, and it was just a matter of, I guess, formally accepting it at this point, but I don't think they'll go back through the presentation and finish it up, if that's what you're asking.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody else? In the absence of Joe Hockadell, I suppose we have no tower updates, although there was some discussion about the towers and around the Inverness Airport.
I can speak a little bit on just what I have found so far. There is interlocal agreement concerning the airport zoning and regulations. This was signed on June 8th here, signed, June 8th of 2020. And it states that the parties agree that, 1, the city shall administer and enforce its airport protection zoning regulations adopted in pursuant to Chapter 333 Florida statutes. As such, regulations apply to the lands located within the city's municipal boundary. And two, the county shall administer and enforce its airport protections, zoning regulations adopted pursuant to Chapter 333, Florida statutes, as such regulations apply to the lands located in Citrus County and not within the city's municipal boundary. Basically saying, if you have, there's more to this, but if you have an obstruction and it's on county property, respecting the airspace, it's the county's responsibility. If there's an obstruction that's in the city's boundaries, it's the city's responsibility. I can give this to you if you want later, or I can make copies if anybody wants it.
If I recall from last month's discussion, there was an issue about one of those towers as a condition of its building permit approval status, that it was required to have high visibility paint on it, and that paint had degraded significantly over the 10, 15, 20 years that's been in operation. And I think there was some concern that that might need to be addressed somehow with the current site owner.
When it comes to high visibility, I couldn't really find anything about that. I know those towers have lights,
Right.
so I think that's gonna trump the high vis.
Yeah, I'm not sure, that was, who was it that brought that up?
The high visibility was Mr. Chan, if my,
That's right, yes.
and then Mr. Hackett brought up just the towers in general, one by the church. I think the church has a piece of land that they rent out for a communications tower they have over there.
Okay.
But I'm having a tough time finding more information about this.
Okay.
But all these, there's 3 towers out there. They're all identified too within the FAA. And they're all under 200, they're either at 200 feet or below it. How that affects your approach. I'm not a pilot, I don't fly into Inverness, but around that area, you gotta be below 500 feet, or you can't be below 500 feet until you clear that area, maybe? I'm not 100% sure, but
So do we answer Mr. Hackett's question?
probably not. But is there something that the board would like me to do with these towers?
Well, what I would say is, the key thing that was brought forward by, was Mr. Tackett or somebody else at the time, was that they referenced a building permit condition, which we don't know anything about. But anyway, that might be worth exhuming from the building permit file to see if there is such a condition. And if so, then perhaps that's something that, if it has bearing and is still applicable, then perhaps that should be brought up with the site owner or whoever's leasing it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
I think there was some questions on height too, that a new tower had been reconstructed and it was much higher. And I think my conversation with Eric was, it was like kind for like kind.
Exactly.
No difference in height, and that everything he does at the city's level is approved through FAA before we can even administer that.
Correct. That is exactly what he told me. So I guess I need to know, do I need to move forward with looking into this more, or?
Well, it sounds as though the requirements are pretty clear, that the city and or the county, whose ever land a particular tower rests on, is responsible for working with the FAA to ensure that applicable tower restrictions, height restrictions are met. And if it's above a certain height, that there's a light and so forth.
Yes.
So, until and unless we have a report from somebody that that's not been done, I'm not sure what else there is for us to do. George, was Mr. Hackett saying that, forgive me, I wasn't here last month, was he saying that there's something untoward going on?
No, I don't recall that at all. It was just a matter of, what sticks in my mind was he made a reference that when those towers went in, or one of the towers went in, there was a requirement to have a high visibility paint on it, which they put on, he says, and then, of course, over time, that's faded.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question was, okay, is that an accurate statement? Was there a building permit issued with that condition. And if it's in city limits, then that building permit is probably issued by the city. So,
Do we know which tower he was talking about?
I don't recall which one.
Okay.
Those three towers they're all very close to one another.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like one's a mile down the road.
Then maybe the question would be,
They're not that close now. You got one over on the city behind the well field, that one, and then you got Seco, and then you got the Catholic Church, and then you got the one over there off of Independence. So that's a pretty big area between all.
Oh,
those.
I thought this was just in talking about the three towers that are very close to Seco, because I know the
Okay,
Catholic Church
yeah,
is right.
But you got all these other ones, surrounded though. I will get you the answer on building permit information. What is that process? I'll step through it and find that out, so that, is there some criteria, and did somebody have to submit plans, and what were the
Yeah.
requirements on it for each one of these? Especially, problem is, we're gonna back up, some of those towers have been there 30, 40 years, back on the old Charlie Dean property, so, we'll find out, and I'll update you on what we have from the city level.
that'd be great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
If there is a requirement for paint or whatever.
Yeah, we'll see if
we-
any
we
of that's
just
in.
want-
We
we
just
wanna
need to
see-
read through it.
Want to see if it's being
Because-
complied with.
Yeah, because if it's on city property, that property's being leased, and then we have the ability to enforce that then.
Right.
All right, thank you much for that.
All right. Airport security, anything?
No?
Board communication, not sure how that's different from board update.
Yeah.
So you say that you are in fact going to, that the BOCC is in fact going to announce the upcoming term endings.
The vacancy is going to be announced on the 24th of September.
Three pending vacancies.
This is just the one vacancy for District 3.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Before we get to open to the public, I do have one question, and that is, can you refresh my memory, please? What is it that the county gets from the FBOs in terms of a commission or a percentage of fuel sales?
With depending on the airport.
The county sells each FBO fuel, is that true?
No. No. The FBOs manage the fueling site.
That's why we go.
Okay,
Inverness gets a 5-cent fuel flowage fee for every
Mhm.
dollar
okay,
that they sell. And we don't have that with Crystal River,
Crystal River doesn't pay at all
No,
for fuel
they-
sales?
because
That's-
they're under the cool formula.
Right, that's pretty cool. So with respect to Wright Rudder then, they report how much fuel they have sold out of the fuel that they have, that they dispense. Some of it goes to their own airplanes, some of it goes sold to the public.
Yes.
And of the fuel that is sold to the public, the county gets 5 cents per gallon.
Yes.
And how is the amount of fuel that they have sold to the public reported?
That report goes to our land section, and we review the report, their transactions.
Okay. When you say we review the transaction, so we audit that report?
Audit's a strong word. I would use review. But yes, we look at each.
I guess the question is
Proceedings.
it self-reporting? Is there any cross references to how much fuel's coming in, to how much they're paying us on?
I don't know how much fuel's coming in.
That's not the question, Todd.
Well,
The question is, is it simply, Wright Rudder says, here's how much fuel we sold, and we take their word for it? Or do we actually have the ability to audit their books, their fuel receipts?
well, they're a privately owned company. I'm unsure if we can audit their books like that, but whenever they send a receipt into us, we review it. We can see each transaction that they've reported on it. It's electronic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Is that answering your question?
So every credit card transaction that goes through there, we have the ability to audit that, there are private transactions coming through for fuel.
Yes. Can you mind coming forward and,
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
we're kind of putting you on the spot here, but thank you.
Hi there. My name is Thomas Soto, and I'm one of the main workers at the Right Rudder Aviation. So directly to answer your question is we used, it's called QT Pod. It's common at other facilities you'll find. It's a software that tracks all transactions that are done, which is all through the QT Pod system. So within that, it keeps reports to date of any sale that takes place through the system. So whenever someone swipes a card, it directly goes into a reporting system, and you could search by date, and it shows the gallons and the credit card and the name of the person and what tail number it was, as long as they put everything in correctly. But yeah, it keeps track of any credit card sales that are done.
Okay. And then it sends a report to the county?
I don't think it well, I can't
No.
speak on that. It doesn't automatically do it. I would probably have to be like requested from this day to this day, and then we can populate it, but it doesn't automatically do that.
No, it's given to us. It's supposed to be by the 15th of every month. We should be receiving that. We should be
A
receiving that
report from that
fuel
software
form.
that says
Yes.
here's what, okay, that's essentially what we're asking for.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody else from the public have anything that they'd like to say? Anybody on the board have anything else they'd like to bring up? Okay. Our next meeting is Thursday, October 10th, 2 p.m. Same place, same time, same bat channel. If there's nothing else, I hereby declare this meeting to be adjourned.